season loan.
Yeah, so Liam Finn's gone up to Newcastle in League One. But he's staying on the Wakefield coaching staff, so there will be some continuity for them.
Yeah.
Obviously, that his replacement is the ever lovely and charming Danny Brough.
Indeed.
I mean, he must. If you're setting yourself a target, surely it's to make trips to Redhall less frequently, if nothing else.
Well, I suppose, they could have kept Liam Finn and he'd have still been on the pitch the same amount of time as Danny Brough.
Yeah, well, not if he showed his witness form, certainly. Craig Kopczak, I think, is an interesting one. I think he does add something to them. He's quality forward. He's probably a bit too good to be at Salford. So I think moving up an echelon is probably good for him.
Yeah.
Splitting the king, so George King. That's I think. I'm not sure. Where do you think he'll get in the side?
I don't know. Is he going to be a useful bench player with the interchanges going down?
Yeah, that's perfectly true. And obviously the ever lost Scott Griggs. It was Scott Griggs.
Sorry, I was just going to say my concern is, I know Ben Long talks about the pack of Fafita, Pauly, and they've got England as well, haven't they? And other people. But
Hurst
how many?
A tall lad.
Who? Sorry.
Keegan Hurst is big as well, isn't he?
Yeah. Keegan dropped the ball, Hurst. But how many minutes can these players actually play? And how is the reduction in interchanges going to affect these people?
Yeah, that is going to hurt them, because certainly their wins last year were driven off a sort of rampaging game, keeping that tempo up, certainly through the middle. So I think if they've not got that strike capability, they're having to downgrade that a bit to be able to stay on longer. That is going to hurt them potentially. Yeah,
I mean, I know Joshua, when he was suggesting to James Clark who we should be signing for this season, he mentioned Fafita and Pauly. And Clark said the problem is those players just can't play enough minutes, and especially with the reduction. So it will be really interesting to see how Wakefield do manage them. But they've got quality across the back line there, haven't they?
Yeah. And Ryan Hampshire set to be fullback for them.
Yeah.
They finished fifth last season, which would get them the playoffs this season. But the listeners overall averaged out at putting them in seventh place. So, where do you two think they're going to finish in the league?
I think
sixth, just above where the listeners predicted. I thought that they'd just miss out on the top five.
I stuck true and said seventh. I have him in that second pack of sort of flatter to deceive a little bit. But not doing great. I didn't hear that.
Probably just as well.
I've got.
Mark, you had them winning the cup.
I did, and we talked about that on the predictions show. So go back and check out my reasons for that. But I do think that on their day they've got enough strike to beat anyone. Jacob Miller and Danny Brough is going to be one of the most creative halfback combinations, as long as they let each other.
And how much they're together, though.
Perform. And out in the outside backs, they're starting three-quarter line. Johnston, Tupu, Lynn and Jones-Bishop is up there with all the starting three-quarter lines that you look at across the league. Maybe they lack depth behind those guys a little bit. That's a concern. I'd rather Max Jowett plays at fullback if I was a Wakefield fan, to be perfectly honest. And they've brought in Ben Reynolds, who you didn't mention in the gains, and I like Ben Reynolds. He was very good for Lee in a bad year for Lee in not great year for Lee in Super League 2 years ago. I think he's a talented kid. I think he can fill in the halves if needs be, or he can play fullback as well. So there's another option there to throw out. I love Sarah's point though about the interchanges, and I think over the course of a season, rather than in isolated cup games, that's going to affect them, and that's kind of why I have them in 8th place overall. But if this team has their best 17 out in the cup games, they can beat anyone in this competition.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone even more pessimistic about the league. I've got them 10th, and I'm going to argue my case. To me, the league is split. So I think you've got Salford and London in 11th and 12th, and I think there'll be daylight to Wakefield in 10th. But I just have Wakefield as possibly the worst of that mid-pack of teams. And I think it's a very astute point about the changes to interchanges and how that will affect some players who like to carry a bit of a gut on them, as Paulie was pleased to show us last year. And I think that is something, and they do have talent, but I do think they've overachieved over the last couple of years. I think their combination's been better than the sum of their parts in many ways, and I think they might I've just got them down as having a poorer year, and because they'll be well clear of 11th and 12th, I think they may just settle into have an off year for me.
Tim, did you have any star men and rising stars to pull out above what we've already talked about?
I think we've covered everything really. I think I'd love Max Jowett to do well, but it's whether he gets a proper run in the side.
No one's expecting anything from prop Titus Guaze, who's got one of the best names in Super League.
Sounds like an obscure medical condition.
Well, I think as well, Yusuf Aidin, who's been given squad number 33, that sounds like some sort of rural dialect tried to say something else that I can't work out, but I think it's like a farmer shouting to his cows to get themselves in for milking. Yusuf Aidin. There you go.
Just bringing it back round to an actual probable rising star. I think James Batchelor is probably going to have a good year for them. I think they'll be reliant on whoever they're picking second rows to probably maybe take a bit of the load from the forwards who might be blowing a bit. I'm going to go for James Batchelor as my rising star.
Yeah, he was my tip for rising star as well. I just had to double check his age, but he is young enough.
Good consensus reached then. Excellent. Now I think we've said everything we need to say on Wakefield. I know you wanted to move off them, Tim. You seem to hate the sort of West Yorkshire also-rans.
They just don't feature in my consciousness.
Well, let's move on to a team that hopefully features in mine and Sarah's consciousness, because we both tipped them to win the grand final. So we're going to move on to Warrington Wolves. Right, so it's always their year, just like the last one, Sarah. But do the fans think it is their year this year? Let's start with James. He just says, always our year.
Yeah. John Knox says, a nervous start, but we'll find form when Blake Austin clicks. This really could be our year.
Mike Dodd says, I expect the Y to build up my expectations, then fall at the final hurdle yet again. Why change the habit of a lifetime?
Like a true fan. Ben Reynolds says, Blake Austin and then some emoji that I cannot work out.
It looks like crying with laughter, but
I think
it's not an aubergine, is it?
Yeah.
It looks like a devil on my screen.
That's weird. So everyone's is printed differently. Fantastic. Andy Clough expects attacking flair.
Steve Wilding Hewitt says consistency. After all, it's always our year. So expect nothing, get nothing, be happy with nothing, and you won't be disappointed.
Lee Whitnell expects them to score one fucking drop goal. Just one! Surely that's not much to ask.
Well, the problem is they've used up their quota of drop goals when Lee Breer's played for them.
That's true, he did score 5 in one game once.
5 against us regularly, so sorry, Lee. Tom Eckley says, much improved attack from this year. That should be last year, surely. Standout seasons from
Ratched. Early. He's a good lad, Tom. He gets in on it around Christmas.
Wow. Teacher's pet. Standout seasons from Ratchford and Austin. Pattern to force Brown out of the side. Bottle at least one trophy, of course.
So, I mean, last year, the potentially, you could argue, bottled both the trophies. They were runner-up in both finals. Our listeners have gone with them finishing in second place. That's possibly pitched against the gains that they've made, Sarah. Blake Austin is the big marquee man that's come in. Jason Clark, probably not talked about as much. He brings in a real wealth of experience, knowledge, performance, can go decent minutes if he's fit in the pack. They were sad to lose him at the Rabbitohs, I know that. The fans were anyway. Matt Davis is coming from London. Lama Tassi's come over from Salford. Danny Walker, the young dynamic hooker with the big ears, has come over from Widnes. And Jake Mamo, of course, the sort of Swiss Army knife of that back line. He can fit in anywhere, really. They come in to replace Tyrone Roberts, Ben Pomeroy, George King, Mitch Brown, Bodine Thompson, Taylor Prell and Morgan Smith. So on balance, they have bought in better than they have lost, I would say. Do you agree?
Way better. Yeah, I think that they've really strengthened.
I mean, where have you got them finishing? We know you think they're going to win the grand final. Where have you got them finishing in the league to build up to?
I've got them finishing first. I didn't realise I'd put that, but I've got them finishing first as well as being grand final winners.
Starman Blake Austin, I assume.
I don't think you can see beyond him, can you? If he clicks, but then them finishing first and winning the grand finals all based on him clicking.
So what is it about him, do you think, that's so exciting?
I don't know. He's come with all the hype, and so often you see these players falling down. But at some point, Warrington have to sign a big name player that actually does it, haven't they?
Well, they're really doubling down by bringing Widdop in for next year, aren't they? So,
and I think, Mamo as well, with his potential for scoring will help them as well.
Yeah, very creative player. Did you have a rising star to pick out of the Warrington squad?
Let me just check. No, I don't think I did. But there's not that many. I mean, you've got Danny Walker, haven't you, as a youngster? But that's about it, really. A lot of them are a little bit older.
Yeah, they do have an average age of over 26, I think, this squad. Louis Johnson had a couple of games at prop. He looked undersized last year. I don't know if he's going to come on, but they've put him in a lot of the promo material for the new kits and stuff like that. But I've gone Danny Walker for my rising star, even though I absolutely love Darryl Clark. I think he's a great player, but he's traditionally not played 80 minutes. And even if Danny Walker just plays 20 minutes a game, which might be questionable with the new interchanges, I don't know. But even if he just does, maybe they use Darryl Clark like Saints used to use Roby and like they used him a little bit last year and play him mostly a hooker, but then a little bit loose forward. But Danny Walker, when he gets on the pitch behind such a good forward pack that Warrington have, he's going to be explosive. I've got them finishing second in the league because I just think they might try to pace themselves a little bit with the grand final being their ultimate aim. And I then do think they've got the quality of player this year to get over that hump with people like Josh Charnley another year into his career there, with Blake Austin in the fold. I mean,
they've got some great scorers, haven't they? Or potential for scoring.
Yeah, totally. I mean, if I look through the squad, I think they've got some of the best 2 or 3 players in every position, in that squad, really. When you look at it, that player is within the best 2 or 3 of his position in the league, almost across the board of that first opening lineup. I mean, they've added quality with Austin and Clark, they've added talent with Walker and Davis, they've added depth with Tassie and Mamo, Super League depth. The squad's got good frontline players and strong depth. I just think, Austin then's going to be the difference player. They've got forwards like Hill and Cooper who can do good minutes, meaning the interchange rules won't hurt them. And then Lynham and Chalmers, like you just said, they're going to score plenty against anyone, aren't they?
Yeah, you'd think so. And I like Steve Price, actually, as a coach.
He's just a thin Peter Gentle.
You are?
He's just a thin Peter Gentle.
Well, to be honest, that's another matter, yeah.
Peter Gentle, he'd be one of them coaches that if you were quizzing me on like Super League coaches, he'd be the one that I'd forget in Hull's history because he was just so boring. He was just so nondescript.
Peter Sharp was worse.
I'm not sure. So me and Sarah expect good things out of them. I think second in the league, like I say, but they've got that quality to go on and win something. Alan, just throw in your league prediction and maybe if you've got anything else to add in around anyone in the squad.
Yeah, I've got them finishing second, not actually going on to win anything. But when you look at the squad, it's a squad, ironically, to win now, isn't it? It's almost like they've, this year or next year with Widdop coming in, I think they're not quite mortgaging the future, but they're certainly spending big with the expectation that they need to be pushed over the line. But I just think that muscle memory of not quite doing it is just going to hold them back, and I just can't see them winning it. Sorry.
Tim, are you on the same page?
Yeah, pretty much. It's never their year.